Hi guys, this is Brad Lincoln from Pathway to Oz, and today I've got a bit of a different video for you guys. It might seem a little bit strange, but believe it or not, this is something we get asked a lot by our clients. Not so much international students, but more our clients who are sort of taking that step and then migrating to Australia, maybe on an employer-sponsored visa or a skilled visa or something along those lines. And it is, can I bring my dog or pet to Australia? Okay, so the simple answer to that question is yes, you can generally bring your dog to Australia, okay? Now there is a lot of requirements that need to be met. I'm gonna go through a couple of these with you, but the best thing I can suggest if you're looking to go down this path, okay, the Department of Agriculture, Horticulture and Fisheries is the website you need to familiarize yourself with, okay? They have an absolutely amazing, extremely detailed step-by-step guide on the process on bringing one of your pets out to Australia, how it works and all that sort of thing, okay? So that's your first step, is definitely checking out that website. But to get a basic idea, all right, so Australia has very, very strict biosecurity laws. There are certain diseases that are around the world, things like rabies and stuff like that, that Australia simply does not have. You mean we do not have rabies in Australia, and there's a number of other animal type diseases that we just don't have. So the government is very, very strict on keeping it that way. You know what I mean? So you mean that's the main procedure and task of when you want to bring an animal to Australia is going to be the health and the well-being of that animal. Okay, now as well as that, there is a certain list of countries that animals are allowed to come to Australia. There is countries, for example, many countries in Africa, you mean not a chance. You are not able to bring pets from those locations, but most countries in Europe, America, South America, Asia, the South Pacific, you're generally pretty fine, okay? So that's what you sort of got to work out as well is your country of origin. Where you're coming from, are you even eligible to start this process? Okay, and there's a full list of that on the agricultural website. Now, some of the requirements that you have is, okay, so first step is essentially getting your, let's just use dog as the example. Okay, I know there's many more pets than just dogs, but let's just use dog as the example. You take your dog to a recognized vet, okay, usually a government type vet, and they will identify your dog, the breed, the classification of your dog, and give it a full overall health test, okay? From there are a number of inoculations or injections that the dog is gonna need to get. Now, when I say a lot, I mean a lot, there's like 15, okay? So it's quite a long process because you can't do all these all at once. You might need to do one inoculation, then wait 30 days, do another one, then you might be able to do two at once, that sort of thing, okay? So it is quite an arduous process. Now, once you have got all of these done, all the inoculations, the ID check and the health check from the vet, you can then apply for a permit to bring your pet into Australia, okay? That process is actually quite quick if you have all the documentation there. Now, once you have that permit, you generally have about 180 days from the point of receiving that to being able to bring your pet into the country. Now, once you've done that, you've got your permit to enter Australia, okay, things are looking good. So basically from there, now depending on the dog or the country of origin, your pet may need to go into a pre-departure quarantine facility, okay? Now these are absolutely all over the world. Most airports are surrounded by these type of facilities, okay? Now, once that's done and the dog has arrived in Australia, now a very important thing to mention is the dog can only enter into Melbourne International Airport, okay? You can't fly to Sydney, you can't fly to Perth, you can't fly to Brisbane. It can only enter through Melbourne because Melbourne is the location that has the dedicated quarantine facility for animals, okay? From there, your pet would then be picked up by the Department of Agriculture and taken to the quarantine facility and will be given a full health check, okay? So they'll be just making sure it had a safe flight, making sure it hasn't got sick over the duration of that flight, just checking for injuries or anything that may have happened, and also doing some blood and DNA tests to make sure that that pet matches up with everything that you supplied from the vet in your home country. Now, once your pet has spent 10 days in that quarantine facility and has met all the health requirements, you can then go pick up your dog or your cat or whatever it may be and bring him home. Now, from there, If you're based in Brisbane and you have to pick it up from Melbourne, obviously you then have to make your own arrangements of how you get your pet back to your home. Could be a fun road trip for the family, or could just be a really cheap flight for dad to go down and pick him up and then come home. But once that's done, you know what I mean, you're all sorted, you're reunited with your family and you're a four-legged member of the family. Now the big thing, what are the costs to do this? Okay, now guys, the costs vary dramatically depending on your country of origin, all that sort of thing, okay? Now, in terms of, just to give you a rough idea, you're gonna be looking at anywhere from about $6,000 to $10,000 at a minimum to go through this process. Now, by that, I'm including all those vet fees from your home country to do all the tests, the permits, flight tickets, quarantine, all that sort of stuff, okay? And as I said, it can vary because your lengths in quarantine can vary in your home country and when you arrive in Australia, and they actually make up a very big component of these costs. So it is quite an expensive process to go through. And one thing I would recommend is there's multiple companies, okay, around the world that specialize in this exact sort of thing. It's not a process you want to mess up. It's not a process where you want to run outside of your desired timeframes. So utilizing these companies and a quick Google search of traveling with pets or bringing your pets international will bring up 10, 15 different companies straight away who can help you with this. And from my research, they're actually quite affordable in terms of the overall cost of things and can just make your life a hell of a lot easier. So guys, I hope you found that video interesting, and I know it's not going to be relevant to everyone, but to our clients who are coming to Australia, who are looking to bring their pets with you, as you can see, it is possible, you can do it, and you don't have to break up the family by coming to Australia. As always, if you do have any other questions about studying, migrating, or moving to Australia, please never hesitate to contact the team at Pathway to Oz. Thanks.